Hello, welcome to week 5 of CIS 163 Java 1. There's another video on methods that is published. This video is pertaining to arrays. And again, in subsequent weeks, at least next week, and maybe even a little bit of touch here and there, we are also going to extend our discussion on arrays a little bit farther. So today, a general introduction to arrays. In IntelliJ here, I've created a class myArrays. And in the main method here I'm going to declare an array, right? So that gives it a variable name. It tells the type. This right here, this square brackets indicate here this would just be an integer, right? 1, 10, 100. That would just be an integer. But this syntax here, the open and close square braces, brackets, indicate that it is an array. Now I don't know how big my array is. All I know at this point is my practice int array will hold some number of integers. Right. This line here tells Java, hey, that integer array that you declared, I want to reserve enough space in the memory to create 5 integers. Okay, so before anything is run, Java knows, hey, I'm creating this array, and I'm going to go with, I know Java knows how much space 5 integers takes, and it goes and it makes sure it's available and it reserves it. Nothing else can grab it. Java's taking control of that much memory. Okay. And another nice feature about that, okay, so you can, well, before I go there, you can imagine here with our int array, okay? So I'm just going to do what crude drawing I can do here. It's not going to be that great here. But I've created this object here, and again, we're going to go more into objects next week. But I've created this object here that's holding this single object here is going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 integers. So I can put in those integers. I can put like a 5 here. I can put like a 7, 9, 21, making numbers up here, 88. So this single value here has these 5 numbers inside of it. If I were to put a 6 here, I could add a 6th number here. They are ordered, meaning that I can find what's in this position. I can say, hey Java, what's in that position? It'll tell me a 5. Hey Java, what's in that position? It'll tell me a 21. Very nice structured data here. Okay. Another nice feature about it is I can ask, hey Java, how many spaces are reserved? What's the length of my array? How many spaces have been reserved? So when I print this right here, it's going to say 5. You expect it to say 5. We can see 5 here. So what's the practical value of that length? Well, we'll use it here in a minute. Okay. But if you imagine a scenario, there's your 5. If you imagine a scenario where you don't know the size of your array before the program starts, but you need to code for the length of it. And again, we're going to do that just right here. This right here is practical, because if I'm going to take in, like, say, I ask the user, give me how many values are you going to give me, and they say I'm going to give you 10 integers. Okay, well then I let them give me 10 integers, but I know right here what the length is. I don't have to write in here. I don't have to create a special array for 10 and 5. It can be, but it has to. I have to know it when I create it right here. Once I know it, though, then I can find the length. Okay. Hopefully you'll see this in practice here. Okay. So again, I printed it. It's a 5 in length. Last week before, we introduced this idea of a loop, a for loop. So here, I have an index, or a counter, you might call, a counter or an index, where I start at 0. Okay. I'm going to increase each pass through a loop. I'm going to increase I by 1. That's what that means. So it's 0, it's 1, it's 2. But I need to know when to stop. Okay, that's what this is. I'll stop, or I'll keep going, so long as I is less than the length of my array. As soon as it's equal to, my for loop will stop. So what happens now? I'm going to print my practice int array at the 0 index. Remember when I drew it up here? Whatever numbers were there, whatever I put, 5, 4, 6, whatever. At the 0 index, that's what I'm going to, this is the 0 index. That's what I'm going to print. So why is it all 0 down here when I run this? That 5 is this right here. I'm going to remove that for clarification. So when I run this, they're all 0. Well, that's because when I do this right here, Java will, depending on the type, and the type is integer, Java will put a default value in. And for integers, Java puts a 0 in. So each one of those spaces in my array is held by the default value 0. So right here, I'm going to say, hey Java, in that 0 place, put the number 5. Print it right here, and you'll see the number 5. Hey Java, in that space 3, put the number 20. When I run it, number 20. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put these values in right here. So real common mistake for anybody, experienced people even, is to get carried away and do something like this. So what happens when we do that? We put a 5 here. Well, you see that the the array index out of bound exception, right? 5. That's because this is a 0-based index. So all that means is that for 5, instead of starting at 1, we start at 0. 0, counting numbers is 1. 1 is 2, 2 is 3, 3 is 4, 4 is 5. So index 4 is the 5th element in the array. This is a 6th element. So you see array index out of bounds. Okay, so can't do that. Even though it says 5, don't let it fool you. It starts at 0 and goes up to whatever this number is, minus 1. I'm going to get rid of that. All right. So now when I print again here, this for loop, when I print the values in the array. It's about to run, and there it is. Okay. So this is an int. What if I were to create an array of doubles? So it's the same syntax here, except I'm using the double word. I have a double of with an array of three doubles. When I print that, sorry, I didn't actually uncomment the for loop yet. So now when I print that, the default values that Java will put into a double array is going to be 0.0. So it prints 0.0. And if I try here in the 0 index to put 1.25, then of course when I print it, it'll be 1.25, 0, and 0. And lastly, and these aren't the only types, by the way. I don't want you to think this is an exhaustive list by any means. It's just some examples for us. So I right here can have my array be made up of strings. And I'm gonna tell Java I want my array to be a size of 4. Or a length of 4, maybe a better word. Now the default value, it's not 0 or 0.0. For a string, the default value is going to be null. Null just means nothing, no value whatsoever. Okay, there's nothing in there. There's a space for something. There is room and memory allocated for it, but there's nothing there. Okay, so if I were to put my in there, when I print it here, I get my. So I'm just going to go ahead and print the rest, or I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of them in. Print. And there you go. So in this week's weekly lab assignment, you're going to take the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that you did with the string builder and the string. You're going to put those lines of the verse, so Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and then however many spaces it was in the next one, How I Wonder What You Are. So preserving the spacing just like we did last time. You're going to put that into an array instead of a string builder, and then use a for loop to print it back out. Okay. And then there'll be a challenge exercise too for arrays like there was for methods. That'd be an optional challenge exercise to get you additional practice. And again, if you ever even want additional practice beyond that, we can always find it for you. There's always a place where we can find, or we can make up our own assignment. We can extend whatever additional challenge you would like regarding the subject matter at hand. Okay. So a little bit of an introduction to arrays here. And like I said, we could use different values. They don't have to be ints or doubles or strings. Any of our primitive values. When we get into objects in our coming studies next week, we can actually put some of those objects into the array as well. So lots of options for us. But this will get us started. This will get you the ability, some tangible interaction with the array, and hopefully get you just a little bit more comfortable as we move forward.